But speaking of the BNP, ladies and gentlemen, this is big news, and this is possibly the most amazing story, and it's one that really it's one of those things that it should have come a long time ago, and if it had have done, people would have cared more. It's kind of like when a TV show goes on for too long. It's like Dexter, in a way. And Nick Griffin, the neo-Nazi, Holocaust-denying Cyclops of death, the BNP's, wonky-faced, glass-eyed fucking prick, arsehole, fat tub of shitbag wanker, leader has stepped down. Nick Griffin is no longer the leader of the BNP after 15 years. He has finally... Well, I say he stepped down. I mean, this man has been about as popular as a Palestinian hot dog salesman outside a synagogue in, Tel Aviv, quite frankly. But the fact that he, back in January, he went bankrupt, the fact that the BNP have lost all their seats, they've lost their European seats, the fact that they are, I mean, almost nobody, even racists, even hardened fucking... swastika tattooed foreheaded Nazis are saying, "Oh fuck the BNP, they're cunts." They've lost all fucking faith in. And you've had so many people splintering off into other little BNP, and I think it's great. In all fairness, I was hoping he'd stay on because that's all these fuckers do. They just splinter off. They're like fucking mogwais of politics. They have a little falling out. They're like these divas who just storm off because none of them. Fundamentally, there's no reason there should be so many right-wing parties or organisations, but it's because they can't get along, because the tiniest little disagreement. But I'd like to go through some of Nick Griffin's, and if you're worried about Nick Griffin stepping down, don't be. But let's not forget, I'm going to go through some of my favourite Nick Griffin quotes. He said after when Nelson Mandela, before Nelson Mandela died, not after. Right? Not just randomly one day when Nelson Mandela was well, on the off chance he might die. No, just as Nelson Mandela is clearly on his last legs, Nick Griffin said, "Saint, #Nelson Mandela, on last legs it seems. Make sure to avoid BBC when the murdering old terrorist croaks. It'll be nauseating." Old Nick, that was just long learning that Mandela was ill, and you've got to let it go, Nick. Number two, he also said, what was it? There was a story you might remember a couple of years ago, I think it was about a year and a bit ago, where a gay couple were refused, or were not allowed. They had booked a room in a bed and breakfast, and they were refused permission. They were refused they were not allowed to stay there. The people in charge said, "No, you can't stay here because you're gay, and we don't want gay people here getting poo on their willies and rubbing them on the curtains and leaving encrusted AIDS-infected stains everywhere. We just don't want it. We don't want you sticking parts of the room into yourselves." And these two gay guys, they took them to court and they won. And the BNP leader Nick Griffin decided to tweet the address of this gay couple out on his Twitter account, and saying a British justice team will come up to your address and give you a ... bit of drama by the way of reminding you that an English couple's home is their castle, and it's not a place for you to fuck each other's arseholes. And then he says, "Say no to heterophobia." I love that. I love the fact that he thinks it's bigoted towards heterosexuals, that you cannot be bigoted towards homosexuals. That is the batshit crazy world this man lives in, and he did get a little shit for that, obviously, because that's kind of illegal. But we got his own back because people found out his address and tweeted it out themselves. This is one of his more classic ones. "I am well aware of the orthodox opinion that 6 million Jews were gassed, cremated, and turned into lampshades." They weren't, but orthodox opinion also once held that the Earth was flat. That is Nick Griffin. Comparing the Holocaust as a whole, really, in general, to the Flat Earth Society. And it's not the only one he said. He said once, even when he was on TV on a program called The Cook Report, he said when he was sort of cornered about this, he did say that it's very likely that hundreds, maybe even thousands of Jews were killed, but the rest of the stuff is nonsense. Now, I mean, even today, your average Holocaust denier was willing to compromise to like 1.5, 2 million but that's it. I'm not going all the way to 6. I'm not going past 3. You know, he said the TV footage of dozens of gay demonstrators flaunting their perversions in front of the world's journalist and me at home in my pants, presumably, showed just why so many ordinary people find these creatures so repulsive. Nick, there is nothing ordinary about you, and you know this because your election results are shit. Right? If you were ordinary, you would have won a fucking election. There is nothing ordinary about you. I mean, look at you, for fuck's sake. This is a man who wants to put the image across. You know, if you're the leader of the BNP, you are fundamentally, you know, putting across an image of a racial superiority, i.e., I am a superior and a specimen, a supreme specimen of humanity. You know, and he's got a glass eye, and he's so far to the right, his left side of his face doesn't fucking work. And I know you're going to think, well, you shouldn't just mock the guy because he looks funny because he's got a gun. Bollocks, that's his entire basis for his career. I think there are some people who we can have a pass on. And my favourite one was on BBC Question Time. If you've never seen the episode of Question Time with Nick Griffin on it, watch it. It's hilarious. They deliberately sat him next to a black American feminist. It was fantastic. But he when asked about going to see the KKK and giving a talk with the KKK, in front of the Ku Klux Klan, he said, "It is true I shared a platform with David Duke, who was once a member of the Ku Klux Klan, but in a totally non-violent way." Yeah, I mean, that's just, that's okay then, because that was the main issue with the Ku Klux Klan. You know, we were okay with the cross burnings, and we were okay with lynching effigies, you know, the White Hoods, terrorism. No, it was the rest of it. It was just the fact they've just be peaceful about it. Don't make a fuss, you know. But if you don't worry, do not sit there in dismay and think, "Oh God, Nick's gone." You know, we've lost another one. You know, last week I talked about how we lost Gary Glitter and Michael Jackson paedophile jokes because of Operation U-Tree, and now we've lost Nick Griffin. But don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because Nick Griffin's current replacement is his name is Adam Walker. And the only real positive difference between him and Nick Griffin is that this guy, well, he does have 20/20 vision, but that is pretty much it. His name is Adam Walker. He has been deputy of the BNP. Now, I want you to consider this, ladies and gentlemen. You're in a political party, and you've been trying with you've been trying completely and utterly, with complete futility for decades to bury the image that your party has of being jackbooted fucking, neo-Nazis. And this is the guy, and you look, who do we turn to try and revamp and re-energise the party? And it's this guy, a guy called Adam Walker. He used to be a teacher until he was banned for life. He was banned from teaching for life after he lost a legal challenge against an education secretary. Walker had received a suspended jail sentence for verbally abusing 3 schoolboys, who I presume were at the school he was teaching, chasing them in his car over a village green, and then catching up with them and slashing the tyres on their bikes with a Stanley knife. Now, people will say, well, what would the boys do? It doesn't matter. What could they possibly have done? You know, killed his mother? You know, chopped his testicles off? I mean, this is a teacher. And he chased 3 boys on bikes with a knife and slashed their tyres. You know, he also was found to have been posting racist messages on forums and chat boards on the internet during his lessons under the username Corporal Fox. God almighty, what a pretentious arsehole. He is frequently seen and pictured wearing army uniforms and British military fatigues, which led many for a long time to believe that he had actually served or spent some time in the armed forces. In reality, he has never, and this will shock you, served a single sodding day of his life in Her Majesty's armed forces, which is, you know, textbook for these guys. It's standard protocol. They love the country. They just don't want to go, you know, over somewhere else and possibly risk getting shot in the head to prove it. They'd rather stand here and, you know, just buy the shit that's left over in the army surplus stores. That's close enough, isn't it? He also has a conviction for drink driving. He publicly has referred to immigrants as savage animals, said that Britain is a multicultural shithole, which is currently undergoing an ethnic cleansing, aka white genocide, and that he believes there will be a lot more Lee Rigby-style killings by African tribes people. And I think it's really nice of him that he at least made some effort to be politically correct and said African tribes people, and not African tribesmen, in case there were any radical feminist African tribeswomen out there who took exception to the fact that he was suggesting they could not go out and commit a Lee Rigby-style killing. So, this is the guy who has been deemed the BNP's best chance of revamping itself. A guy who chases children in a car, slashes their tyres, drink drives, posts racist messages on Stormfront whilst he's teaching fucking geography, dresses up in a costume of a soldier, and thinks that, you know, there are going to be sort of African tribesmen with big discs in their mouths, bones in their teeth, chucking spears at fucking off-service military men, and hacking them to death with a fucking cleaver they've made or fashioned with a flint, you know, whilst living in a big hole in the ground under a tarpaulin that they dug with the arse bone of a giraffe. You know, this is the man who has been... So I say, bring it on, Adam Walker. And the best thing is, if you go onto Adam Walker's official Facebook page, I have 100 more likes on my page than him. So I'm wondering whether I might have a shot at this. You know, whether I could possibly sell myself on this, you know. Possibly not. I mean, it's a long shot. Let's be frank.
Con los terroristas.
And do the Harlem Shake.